Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Missle Industries XC Ford Falcon 351 Crusty Wagon Project. Now on today's episode I'm going to take this patina guard and cut the front of it, remove the eyebrow and attach those pieces to this taxi orange guard in the hope that I can salvage one functional guard for this project. Now I paid $100 for this guard and that donor guard over there back in episode 6, and the intention back then was to make a functional guard out of the parts that I had. So hopefully in this episode I can bring that to fruition and I'll bring you along for the ride. Now when I say patina guard, I use that term very loosely because it's more like a visit to the doctor for a tetanus injection guard. It's so bad. It was left out in someone's yard for 8 years with the paint removed from it, and as a consequence of that it's beyond salvation in my opinion. I'm sure I could give that a red hot go at sanding it back and maybe use some kind of rust neutralizer, but the rust is really bad. I mean, if this was an old school truck I would totally use it, but it's not really what I'm chasing for this project. This is probably a good time to point out this lower guard section has been repaired by some adventurous individual, and all they've done is riveted in a new piece of metal into the existing rusty metal. So that's a pretty ordinary repair even by my low standards. So I don't want to use this guard, I just want to cut it up. So it's time to remove this lip and we'll move on with our lives. I should also note, this guard already comes with no antenna hole, which is good, because I don't listen to the radio or watch TV, so I have no need for any of that. Progress report. There, middle-aged again. I have cut the front lower off that guard, and I'm doing my best now to butt them together so I can cut a nice clean line of here through there. I'm doing my best to cut a nice clean line through there. I'm actually going to scribe that with the sharp edge so I have a more defined line to cut along, and I'm going to use the eyebrow to pull it all together, and hopefully this works and doesn't look too shithouse. All that remains now is to carefully cut that, and then I think I'll leave a tab. I'll definitely leave a tab at the back so I can tab that into the front guard. And I'll leave a tab underneath around the frame so I can tab that in as well. And I'll give that a bit of loving to see if I can get that all to butt up, because it'll be super handy to be able to clamp them together for the time being. Yes, I think I'll do that. So, I've trimmed the middle up, and now it's time to clean up some edges and run a line of tacks along this and see if I can get all these long sections of panel to line up neatly while I tack it all together. Because unfortunately the pieces of metal are going to want to move in all kinds of directions while I do this, so I'm going to have to close it all together one bit at a time, otherwise we're going to get all kinds of issues with gaping and misalignment. And what I really want is for this all to look relatively seamless. Seamless being the operative term. Okay, so far so good. As I started to stitch the panel together, it started to go like that. But The lines are butt jointed together, and it's actually concaved inwards along the seam line, so hopefully once this is all ground away I will just smooth it over with a layer of bog and we'll be none the wiser. Well, you and I will know, but the general public won't figure it out unless they take a good close look. And we don't encourage that. This is going to be strictly a 20-metre car. And the last little bit of welding I need to do is just to stitch this front end back together with the eyebrow removed. So that's that all done, stitched back together. Now it's just a case of grinding it up, and I'll probably just blast some primer over it and then set this guard aside while I work on the torque box. After a bit of grinding, the results are in. This front edge tidied up okay. There's a little bit of a low spot there, and there's a serious low spot there. But this edge here, pretty happy with that. Might even have managed to maintain the contour line through there once I add some bog. Can hopefully bring this back. There'll be no adding bog today though. For the time being, I'm just going to throw some primer over that and wrap it up. Summary time for episode 17 of Missle Industries Ford Falcon XC Crusty Wagon 351 Cleveland project. And as you can tell as I pan around, my patina tetanus guard is outside in the rain where it belongs, and my taxi cab guard is back on the car. Now I have stripped the eyebrow and the lower quarter off the old guard and grafted them onto this orange guard, and everything lines up, or can be made to line up, so I'm going to count that as a win. Obviously this guard still has a lot more work ahead of it yet, but that's something for me to attend to way down the track. For the time being I needed it to be complete and able to be bolted back to the car in its entirety. So join me next week when I pull this guard back off and attack the rusty sill and torque box on the left side of the car, because the right side of the car is mint. Takes tank out of the back of the car to do welding, leaves tank under the front of the car while I do welding at the front of the car. Whoops.